This show is brought to you by the Heart Companion. It's more than a beautiful energy pendant embedded with sacred geometry. It's the perfect choice to activate your heart center, the gateway to higher dimensions. With its two sides, you'll love the deep connections you'll feel with the celestial realms while maintaining solid grounding. Order now to receive a 15% discount on the original Heart Companion while supplies last. Use code HEART at checkout.
Welcome to the Divine Paradigm Podcast, revealing universal pathways to joyful living. Remember, you can find this podcast along with many others on our podcast website at iconnecttoall.com/podcast. Now here are your hosts, Gail and Gregory Hogue.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Gail Hogue.
And I'm Gregory.
And today I'm really thrilled to be interviewing a dear friend who has just for years has been an inspiration to so many people. And that is Johnette Crowley. And Johnette is a spiritual teacher, author, and channel. She's been called one of the world's purest channels. She founded the Center for Creative Consciousness in the early 1990s to support humanity's spiritual awakening. As a shaman in the ancient lineage of the sun and a modern-day mystic, she explores the inner planes and maps the higher dimensions of consciousness so they can be explained and made accessible to others. Her book, The Eagle and the Condor, wonderful book, is a true story of an unexpected mystical journey, and it's now in 12 languages. Jonette has created the powerful soul-body fusion technique for healing and wholeness, and her book, Soul Body Fusion, The Missing Piece for Healing and Beyond, is in 10 languages. Jonette has powerful gifts of clairvoyance, healing, and the unique ability to lift others to experience their own spiritual truths. She teaches spiritual growth, workshops, and retreats in the United States and Europe. So, Jonette, welcome.
I've known you guys for so many years, probably 25. I don't even want to think, but at least 25. Yeah. From when I was first getting started, knowing I was a channel, and I said, who else is in this world? And friends told me about you. It's been a wonderful journey, these 25 plus years, all of us together.
Yeah, that's really true. And, in these interviews that we've been doing, one of the joys for us has been connecting with some of those people like you who we've known for so many years, and all of what we've gone through and the growth and how we've been able to bring our, that resonance, that love, that wisdom forward and make a difference in the world. And you do, Jonette. You are really one of those wonderful light beings.
And it's so much fun to play and continually connect because we have such a similar resonance. And that resonance is that connection to higher self. It's like before we started and we were talking about, well, what are some of the challenges? And you said, haven't gone through too many challenges. And one of the reasons why, and for us too, is that we have that connection through our heart center to higher self. And from that soul perspective, it's not like there are challenges in the world. They're just like opportunities. And that's what we want to share with you today and have you share with our audience.
Yeah. So give us a little synopsis of what the last couple of years has been like for you, because it's caused all of us to reorient, whether it's been, painful or dramatic or whatever. I mean, in a lot of cases, it's been awesome. And yet there have been some real let's call them recalibrations, shifts that I feel are absolutely significant. I like to look back and say, we've been knowing for a long time that we are moving into a greater place of transformation. And I don't think any of us knew quite what it was going to look like. And then all of a sudden, the whole world just slowed down and stopped. And it's really remarkable. So tell us what it's been like for you.
Well, I think my experience is like everybody's. We were manically extroverted, all of us, doing this, doing that, facing out. I was traveling to a zillion countries, teaching overseas, and really a hamster on a wheel, but having fun. And then when it all stopped suddenly, I think I got to cut away that part of me that was extraneous and that was reactive. And I say reactive, not in an emotionally reactive way, but I was moving so quickly, I didn't have time to comprehend and then be with what was happening. I was just reacting to this, and now I'm on this plane. And I think it was gracefully healing for me to slow down and find that there is purpose in quietness, which isn't me because I'm a great extrovert. And I think that the greatest thing I've noticed, especially in the last few months, because it's been now more than 2 years in this COVID thing, is that my mind is quieter. And last week I was feeling into how still my mind is a lot of the time. And at first, of course, like everybody else, I think something's wrong with me. I go, maybe that's old age. Maybe, dementia is setting in and I just don't think as much. And then all of a sudden I go, Jonette, it's not old age. It's actually one of the steps of enlightenment is that you get still and you're not activated by your thoughts all the time. So this was a new awareness, like, oh, I'm quiet and that's good. So it's really been extraordinary to watch people find themselves again and have me find myself when I wasn't just so busy doing.
Mm-hmm.
Such a gift for all of us, really. And there are so many new things coming up in the cosmos. I mean, that's part of the excitement, I think, that all of us are feeling. This quietness is setting us up for an influx. And that influx is going to require us changing. And so we've already changed some. What do you think are some of the other important changes that we need to be open to allowing in our beingness?
Let me talk first about, you use the word influx. I'll share a few like shamanistic journeys that I've done. And what I've seen, this one was probably it might have been 2 years ago. COVID had started, and I decided that I was going to get into my big high self, and I was going to just tell the evil, bad, darkness, anything that doesn't belong here from a human perspective to get out of here, because the guides can't get rid of these things. So I went into a very high shamanistic state, and I saw good and evil. I saw all of the chaos in our world. And then I saw, and I was in it, and it wasn't very nice. And on the end of that, or through that space, I saw a big double door, and it had an infinity symbol on it. And I was just in that space saying, all right, you have 6 months to clear out of here, anybody who intends evil. And I said, and it wasn't me speaking, it really was a higher part of me that surprised the heck out of me. And she basically said, you must stop bringing evil, and I'll use that word, but negativity, the negative polarity into Earth. We've got our own, and we can deal with human negativity, but we don't want it input into our world continually. And in that space, I saw, when I went to the doors, I understood the space I was in was the door of the seventh seal, that's the world we've been living in. And I don't know what the door of the seventh seal is, but when I saw the infinity symbol door, it opened, I heard, and this is the door of the eighth seal. And immediately upon opening that double door, it was light and all these beings from the cosmos who were now available to us to help us. And you know how it is in these higher spaces, your knowing comes instantaneously. So I'm trying to put it in a logical way, but it was instantaneous. And the instantaneous knowing was, in this door of the seventh seal where we've been is the knowledge of good and evil. And in order to have free will, humanity has had to be within this realm of good and evil. And we had to get ourselves through the door. And only then was there all this massive cosmic help and this brilliant light. And so what we're doing now is the doors are open. And we can stay looking at the door of good and evil, or, the realm of good and evil, which is polarity and everything that's getting so strong. Or we can say, wait, I'm not choosing this side or this side. I am moving to beyond polarity. And there was so much help. And I feel the great beings of Shambhala, like the energies of the realms of Shambhala, is coming more into humanity than ever before. So the influx of light and help is incredible, but they're not going to help us deal with our stuff. We're still responsible for it. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I see it, I feel it, and I've never seen those doors open like they are right now.
Wow.
And I want to, I know we both want to respond to this. So a couple of things. One is, as we're moving through these amazing times of transformation, there's something very profound about being able to accept the individuality of who we are and come together into the whole. And I think that's one of the great things that we're being shown. And it's darn hard because we have these judgments and these expectations and all of these different things. And the world is showing us in cinematographic, blasting, that there are these great differences.
Or that's what we think the world is saying.
Then
that there's
when we're in that place of, and then we have the opportunity to say, so what? So what? How do we come into unity? Not as this nice little mush, with, that's very, I don't know what the word is, but, but something that honors our individuality, that honors the specific gifts and the specific challenges of individuals, and bringing it together and going, wow, what an amazing unity this makes together. And I think that's one of the things that we're grappling with. And that takes, I think, a high level of human maturity to get there. And I believe we're really getting there, that we are working there. And one of the things that is a discomfort is seeing the drama that's going on out there. And yet we can't move forward by just being naive. it's important to come into the whole with an embrace of self-acceptance and acceptance of all. And then we can truly have that, that love that we're all here to experience.
Let me, before we get to Greg, let me underscore what you said about self-acceptance, because when we're fomenting in all this external judgment and condemnation, sometimes it only looks like it's external. It's really focused on us. And so the healing has to happen where we're saying, where have we judged ourselves? Where have we decided we were unworthy and unworthy of compassion or understanding? And when we get that, then we can love what is, and it doesn't matter, because everybody's opinion and position is just a script. And we are the actors and actresses who have the script. We are not the script. And it really is an opportunity to jump above that and love what is, and know that what is just this play and fireworks, and it's not eternal. It doesn't last.
It really does come down as a play for each of us individually. And what you were saying about the doors and the whole aspect of good and evil, it's all about our discernment, step by step. And that's the opportunity. And we're being set up for such a powerful opportunity, because this world is what strengthens our spiritual muscle. When we are able to discern and choose that light, choose that joy, and then help another, because it's in service that we find that our spiritual muscle is exercised again. And that's when so much help, like you're describing, it's right there, right through the thinnest of veils right now. And I think that's what we're all feeling. And it feels so wonderful to have Spirit acknowledge our presence in this play again and again. And that was another thing we shared a little bit about that would be fun to talk about right now. And that's, this thing called serendipity, which the way it's put out in the world, it seems like, oh, this chance that happens now and then. But I know the way that you're playing your life out, and we are ours, that serendipity is the normal course of being. You just expect that universe is going to be there because it always is, and it's always there in a loving way. So share more about that from your perspective.
Well, what I see as I look at this year, my guides have called it and my guides for many years were White Eagle, and then a never been physical being called Mark. And Mark has said that this is the year of truth, which means the frequencies are so sharp, and we're looking at like the sword of truth, and the sword of truth is illuminated, and it illuminates the right path, but it's sharp. It cuts away that which gets in the way. So I think this year, it's going to be a tough year, a lot crumbling that was on false premises anyway, but the high vibration, this frequency of a supersonic cleaner, is also giving us so much clearer access to our higher self, to our inner principles than ever before. And so serendipity is just the universe's wink that we're on that higher plane and that we're surfing the waves in a different way. And I just want to use this analogy of surfing. My guide, Mark, he always said, a lot of us think we're on a spiritual path to make our world easier, to make fewer waves. And he says, we do not promise fewer waves. What we promise is that you'll be a better surfer. And
I
I
like
always
that.
come back to that because, we think I'm spiritual, now my life works. No, it's just as bad as it was before. And a good surfer goes to the north side of Hawaii to get the biggest waves. So the better surfer you are, the more it's okay. So we are getting that way faster and faster. Really, all of you, your guides are coming in, the serendipity and the synchronicity. And I think it's really challenging us to look at our misconceptions about ourselves. Forget about the misconceptions about the outside world. That's just a distraction. But where have we not conceived well of ourselves? Where have we held false concepts of ourselves that we're small or unworthy, or we're not hugely powerful creative beings who keep creating in a small box when we got the universe as a sandbox? So it's amazing times, you guys, and it isn't promised to be easy, no
Yeah.
matter how spiritual you are.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, and I want to thank you for bringing that up because
Mhm.
I think that as we mature, we have, it's like the eagle can fly up higher and see more, right? And I think that's part of it, that our grasp, like what you're talking about, playing on this cosmic scale, the grasp of what we have now it's humongous. I'm feeling this shift in the vibration of energy. When I look outside, it feels different to me. I don't know whether you've experienced anything like that or not. I see that you're shaking your head. It it's amazing. About oh gosh, a couple weeks ago, there was it was first thing in the morning. It was right around the time that we finally got moisture again. And we had in the morning a double rainbow that it was full and complete double. And the vibration of the light was so ecstatic. In the rain, I kept going outside. And I had my nightgown on because it was in the morning and it didn't matter. It was so good to feel that energy, that the rain and the vibration of light was a feeling of total ecstasy. It's amazing. And, years ago, I spent most of my time as a painter, as an artist. And I've put that aside for quite a few years as we've been doing our work in the world with spirituality and sacred geometry and all those things that we do, and having children and, lovely things like that. And just recently, I've been feeling this call to come back and paint again. And I want to be able to bring into this next canvas the feeling of that light, because it was so exquisite. It was so amazing and catalytic. And my intention is that it is a catalyst, that it actually radiates out that light to people, that they get it and they recognize that we are in a different field now. And when you're in a different field, you can play differently if you recognize it. But sometimes it happens that you think you're in the same place. And the truth is, we are not. And if we can really get a grip on that, I think that will help us flow more, to be more fluid in this coming year, recognizing that, we don't have those same grip holds. They're not there, and we don't need them. We have the capabilities now to be able to play at this higher vibrational level.
I've got a kind of a picture that helps me see what this change is, this higher vibrational level. And I began to see it I work with medicine wheels because I'm a grandmother in the Native tradition. And I was in a medicine wheel in Sedona, and I saw it turn. The way it normally turns is clockwise, and most ceremonies happen clockwise. And as I sat there, and it was interesting, it was below a birthing cave in Sedona, and in the forest was this hidden medicine wheel that we could only see from the birthing cave. And the energies of it moved clockwise, and then they stopped. And I'm thinking, and it's not really moving, it's my inner vision. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, when the medicine wheel stops turning, does it mean a pole shift? What does it mean? And then it started turning counterclockwise. And the knowing I had is that for thousands, tens of thousands of years, everything's been going clockwise, which is the masculine principle. It's moving into time. And if you imagine, we've been here going around, and it looks like it's going to go around again, but it goes over here and it starts a new loop going counterclockwise. So we're at this inflection point and the clockwise one is karma. That's where we keep circling around time. And now we're at this inflection point to go counterclockwise, which is outside of time and outside of karma. So we're there, and it's given. It's not that some people will make it and some people won't. We're all moving on this new cycle, which is greatly feminine. And the cosmic grandmothers come to me, and this was interesting. Out of nowhere, I was meditating about 3 months ago, and I'm used to connecting to the cosmic grandmothers, but this time I hear this, and the cosmic grandmothers had said that we were taking the energy back from the masculine dominance, that now the feminine is coming back. And we all know that. But to hear these grandmothers say, we are taking the energy back from the hunters and the warriors, back to the hearth, back to the fire, back to the home. But the star grandmothers, I heard this being, and it was very ET. I couldn't see anything, and its voice was very ET-ish, very synthetic. And it said, we are the star mothers. I'm like, okay. And it said, we've made big changes, they said. And I've never connected with them, so I didn't know, why they were talking to me. We've made big changes. And I said, what? And I heard them say, we've removed technology. So I'm getting a little off your subject before, but evidently there's been technology that the earth has had that is misused, probably a lot of it. And these star mothers said, we've removed the technology and there are big changes. And I said, well, what can we do? And their answer in their synthetic voice was, dream big, dream big. And so we're on this whole different trajectory, different than we've had in maybe since humanity came on Earth, maybe since Lemuria. And it's opening up everything for us. And we've got so much help. Technology that's been misused is being taken away, and we're seen by higher and higher dimensional beings. So we are, I said it before, we're so supported, and what's happening is not a rerun of Atlantis or Lemuria. It's totally new creation, no reruns.
That's exciting and really very true. I know from my perspective of working with, just number, that one is source, but it's unknowable. You divide any number by one, you still get the same number. It's like one is hidden. So, and numbers have, they have gender to them. And so the odd numbers are masculine in nature. And so 2 is the feminine aspect of creation. It is through 2, it is through duality that the world knows itself. And that's a feminine aspect. And so going back into the feminine is the only way we can reach unity. We have to open up to the feminine. And the clockwise versus counterclockwise, one of the aspects of clockwise is bringing energy in. Counterclockwise is Earth reaching up into the stars. So it's, in a way, it's our opportunity at this time. On one hand, yes, the veils are thin. Yes, there's so much help. But we have to stand. It's like working with a young child that's learning to walk, that as much as you do, you can't be hanging on to that child all the time. It has to stand. It has to take its steps and walk. And that's the joy of the counterclockwise spiral, is us reaching into, us doing our part in being, part of the whole next step, the play. That unfoldment is enveloping us, and we're moving toward that higher understanding.
I can feel that when you say it, and it has the same energy as Gail when you were just talking about that ecstatically clear sunrise. It's that energy that we are in now, and we are it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And then, we look at, we are it, and we've known that. And now what? It's like, there's still this place, we're in a material world, we're in material form. And it feels like we are dealing with the higher realms, so that we're reaching into those dimensions so much more strongly. And there's like a new, how can I say this? I mean, there's almost like missing words right now, because I don't seem like I have the grip of a language yet that gives, that really portrays what's happening. And so here we are, and with these multidimensional capabilities that we have, and yes, dreaming big is incredible, and recognizing that as we dream, so it is. Just as we were talking about before we started our program here, that shortly before you said, oh, it would be so nice to have some fresh flowers from a florist. And almost immediately, what happened? It showed up, right? That's really important to recognize how quickly it happens. There's purity that's happening. So coming not from the head, but, I can only imagine that when you said, I'd love to have beautiful flowers from a florist, it wasn't something in your mind that was conjuring that up. It was something, it was in your heart, it was in your soul. And I think that really is one of the important ways of moving forward, is in a whole different way of how we operate. And our minds are wonderful, but just like you said, the grandmother said, some of that technology is no longer here. I feel like that brain, that what we've been holding on to, the brain has captured what already is. It's not a tool for our dreams. It's not a tool for what we have as the highest aspiration of humanity and of our individual selves. And so what is? Well, that's where we move into heart and soul access. And that, I believe, when you say that this is going to be a tough year for, in many ways, and yet it's going to develop a lot of spiritual muscle, I believe that is what's really going to happen, that we will get to learn more and more how to operate from that place. And that's what's necessary.
I think so too. It's kind of the creation of our I'll call them our supernatural brain, our supernatural mind, where we're not creating from all the synapses and all the thinking, but from this, and I said supernatural mind, but it includes your heart, that in our purity, we just put out pictures or ideas, and the universe takes them and creates them. And I think it's going to do it more for each of us now because so much is falling apart. And when you have a lot of rigid structures, there's not much room for creation. When your canvas is already full, you can't really do a brand new painting. So a lot tumbles down. And then this creational energy is really born in our hearts and will will be outpictured through our like supernatural mind, our higher consciousness. In amazing ways. So I think we need to stand up and say, I'm worthy of miracles, all kinds of miracles.
Let's talk about that. That's a really potent piece right there. I am worthy of miracles. I am worthy of that enormous big dream. I am worthy of being a full-on member of this extraordinary cosmos. Let's talk about how we can go about doing that, how we can reach that.
Well, and even in the saying, I am worthy, there's a sense that the default is unworthy. So I wish I could think of a way to be worthy without without even using that word. I am magnificent, and that magnificence is a electromagnetic signal that goes out and brings the resonance of proof of that magnificence everywhere. There are this is a little off the point, but I just read it today, an email from a client in Norway about that which is impossible. And she said, and this was some years ago, she said she was taking the train in Oslo, and they have really long escalators down into the train station, the subway station. And she said she fell and she knew she would die because they're very high and very steep and very metal. And she just kind of let go. And somehow she did a somersault and landed 2 stairs up on her feet. And as this whole thing was happening, because she decided, I'll just let go. If I die, I die. A young man coming down or up the escalator, he yells, Matrix, at the same moment she's having this fall. And it really was like time changed for her, and she was on a different timeline. So we need to be magnificent enough to know that we're not just manipulating in this matrix, we are jumping impossible timelines because we can. We really, really can. So it's kind of a crazy story, but it reminds us that things are not linear and they're not supposed to be.
Wow. And I wanted to revisit what you were saying about the grandmothers saying they had cut out technology or removed technology. And obviously they didn't remove the technology because things are still working. But I think the real essence of what they were removing were the negative effects of technology on our beings. Because, that's what we're working with sacred geometry all of the time. It's that where we are developing as a species right now with all the electromagnetic frequencies, all of the things with the toxins in the environment, all of the things going on with the emotional body of the planet being stirred up electronically and AI misdirecting things. What that is doing is diminishing our potential. It literally shuts down our ability to expand into the higher realms, even through our heart. And what we're doing with the geometries and what the grandmothers are doing by removing technology is giving human beings the opportunity to be in that space of connection, that space without interruption, that space without irritation. Because that's what all of these things in technology are doing, is they are disconnecting us from our higher self. They're disconnecting us from each other. They're disconnecting us from even being able to feel our emotional body and be able to react in a loving way. And all of the games, all of the things going on with the electronics, this is leading us down a very dark path without something to balance it. We still need to work with technology, but we need the balance of the love and the heart. And that's, I know, one of the things that you're also offering with, I think you were talking about a meditation that is really profound. And can you talk to us about what it is you want to offer some of our listeners around some of the things you're doing?
Okay. And let me just say, when the Star Mothers came to me, they weren't taking away technology per se. I believe there's technology that's hidden from us, that the, secret parts of the world know, that plays with timelines and plays with things we can't even understand. So I think it's that the access to that kind of occult technology is being dismantled.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what you said, really our main thing is to reconnect to our heart and soul. And I mean, that's why I wrote the Soul Body Fusion book. But because the frequencies are actually easier to connect to our soul than before. But we have to cut away a lot of self-talk and self-identity that isn't truly our soul's identity. We have created this avatar that we think is us, and it's so important. And it's just really an avatar of our higher self. And when we remember that, we give our power back to our higher self. So this meditation is, every year I do different meditations, a whole series of them. And this one, and I channel what it's going to be because it doesn't come out of my small brain. This one's called Ascension School for these next 12 months. And the first meditation that I just channeled is called the Sword of Truth, because my guide Mark is calling this the Year of Truth. And the Sword of Truth, it's sharp and it cuts away all parts of us that are not true to us, that are not our truth, the parts of our avatar that are just our disguises in our false identity. And it does it through energetics. These are very high dimensional meditations. And then I just see the Sword of Truth as this illumined scepter of energy and power. It doesn't need to slash away. It just stands as a pillar of light. And so that's the meditation that I invite people to, but to maybe be part of my subscription. Every month I tap into the energies, and no holds barred. I give the highest activations, initiations, meditations that I can possibly carry and transmit, because we don't have time to have baby steps. We have time just to go for whatever's out there. We throw it at you and you lift to it. So I really encourage people to look inside and look at their role in ascending. And it doesn't need to be dogmatic. It doesn't need to follow any strong strictures of you have to do this, this, and this. It's almost that we just accept it, and the right strategies and steps come into our life. And you guys know that you help people magnetize what they need to them through your beautiful sacred geometries.
Yeah, there's I love what you're saying, and thank you for that offer. I'm going to take advantage of that too. I love your work, and I recommend it to everyone. It is a phenomenal time, and the energy is doing the work. The light is doing the work. All you need to do is allow. And I think that's one of the differences in manifesting that we're in now. It's not about pushing. It's not, all the different ways that we've manifested in the past that have been much more based on how do you work on the physical plane. Those aren't necessary anymore because the vibration, as we've been talking about, it has really shifted. And working on those higher dimensional levels, we're working within all the realms of possibility. So the more that we authentically connect with that and are clear with it, then it just comes together. That's the way energy works. When we, one of the things that we love to talk about with sacred geometry is that before there was form, there's just pure energy. And then once energy is moving into this physical dimension, there's certain structure in the way that it works. So as we're familiar and as we're more comfortable with that and see ourselves as co-creators, divine co-creators, then we are giving color and form. We're giving texture to all of this now. And so as we look for guidance, one of the things that I've become, really been hearing this very much from my guidance is that don't look so much for being told what to do. You don't need that. What is important is watch what comes into your life. Watch the serendipity. Watch all of the things that set you up in your life and learn from that, because it's showing you the creative principles. And the more that you recognize that, accept that, the more you can master it for your own, for your beingness. And I think that, getting back to something that those star grandmothers said, I know that from past life experience that I'm aware of, particularly from Atlantis, there were technologies that were out of integrity. And so I really honor the grandmothers saying, we've dismantled that. That's not there. And I've been feeling this in the last year or so, that it's not necessary any longer to be concerned about the misuse. We've gone beyond that. We haven't learned everything, obviously, but we've learned enough to be at a whole nother level of presence and heart and compassion and wisdom than we've had before. And, like what you said, Jonette, about, we may actually be in a time now that's beyond what humanity has ever experienced. That's very likely. And so, and it's really important that we come back and really, just sit in that quietness of the magnificence that will instruct us.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. We manifest by our values, and, rather than saying, this is what I want, just radiate your values of love and oneness and kindness, and that will set up and magnetize anything. And we are so being watched by the other parts of the galaxies because we are creators. We haven't lost our creativity, our ability to create, and it really is a new palette. And no one knows, everyone's holding their breath. But we've got this. I want to say, even though I think it's going to be a hard year, we've got it. The outcome of a grand rebirth and a movement into a golden age it's settled. The only thing that's unsettled is, will we go blindly, or will we open the door and actually enjoy the party?
Yeah.
Oh, you do some wonderful channeling with Mark. And so could we ask Mark for some guidance as to next steps for what would help people open their hearts to the new energies that are coming in and to be present?
Oh, I'm sure Mark would love to. So let me call him in. And his name is a very ordinary name, but he's never not a he. He's never been on earth. He's not ever been a physical being. So he's not an angel or anything else. He actually said that he's a watcher, which are these ancient beings who stay out of the details, but watch over us. Okay, so let's see what Mark has to say. Your magnificence is embedded in your DNA. It's never been lost and never been corroded. Though in the worshiping of your smallness, you have let go of that magnificence. It is an essence. It's an essence that magnifies magnificence. So we invite you now to step into your heart. And let yourself find this magnifying essence that is your true essence. It is a feeling space. It feels like flow. It feels like home. Your job now is to tap into that essence of you, your true magnificence. Be there enough that it begins to color your thinking, your actions. It begins to disengage your worries and your fears. This essence of you has no beginning and no end. It is not carved into lifetimes, but is endlessly flowing. And it has the perfect frequency that matches the magnificence of every other being. So now feel how beautifully you actually fit into this world. You, your essence and your strength. Thank you. This is Mark.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
That was really appropriate and lovely.
You know, it's really interesting. As a little girl, at night, I used to look out my window as I was going to sleep. And I would be looking at the stars and I would just be saying, where do I belong? I don't feel like I belong here. Where is it that I belong? And that was what Mark just brought in. And thank you, Jonette, for bringing Mark through. Thank you so much. that was so healing, so deeply, deeply healing. I'm sure there are so many people that are conscious of that longing to belong, and now knowing that this is the year of knowing and experiencing our belonging.
Mm.
Wow. Phew.
And our mastery.
Mm. Mhm.
You guys, I love you. It's just a joy to be with the two of you in this way, and with
Mm.
your friends, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. What a beautiful, beautiful time that we're in. And we've all known, haven't we, that we signed up for this one. And it's exquisite to be standing here and going, oh, we were here where we've been waiting for this. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? But there's no time, so that doesn't matter anyhow.
You know, we're so ready to play full bore. And that sword, it's the sword of truth.
Yeah.
So to me, that means that as I'm dancing and playing with this sharpness around me, as long as I'm in the center, what gets removed is that which isn't true, that which doesn't serve, that which isn't truly me. So
Yeah.
that's the way to ride through this year. And the stuff that's crumbling, it will be crumbling on the outside. And what is being built inside is slowly manifesting more and more in this dimension through the eighth door, which is really 8 is the playing field. It works as infinity on its side, but 8 is also this reality that we are playing in. So this is the final step into the higher dimensional realms of the 9.
It is. It is. And we're all here figuring it out.
So my prayer, my humble prayer is that we have an awesome time with this, that we play and we dream big and we play big with all of the heart and soul and compassion and presence, and and we're here for each other. You know, this is the time for the good of all, that we are truly here for all.
And so it is.
And so it is. And so it is. And we want to thank you so much, Jonette, for taking this time with us. It's such a joy.
Really, truly is. And, you know, this is the time to recognize your playmates in this world and your playmates in the other higher dimensions as well, and just work together, play, have fun, be as the little child that loves to play. And that's how we're entering the new world.
Yeah. And I know, Jonette, you know how to play. That's one thing about you. You're a player.
Life is good.
It is good. It is good. So to all the playing, for everyone, thank you, Jonette, for being with us. We love you and appreciate you. And all of you that are listening, we love you and appreciate you. And we see your magnificence.
So thank you for joining us today, and much love and blessings.
And blessings.